I want to confess that I'm also a wannabe artist. Art runs very deeply passionate about art. And this morning I was at an art gallery and I was just generally talking to this gallery owner. And as I was going through the various works, I just casually asked her, how many of the artists that you promote would be voting for BJP? And she said, none. The answer she gave me was, none of the artists she has worked with in her entire career would be actually voting for BJP. This is a reflection of one of the facets of a culture that is controlled by the leftists. We know about media, we know about the academia, but art also is invariably controlled by the left of center, the leftist narrative. The reason why I asked her was that one of the things that has been affecting me personally was the impact of Romila Thapar on one entire generation. And I wanted to capture this artistically by conducting a camp of artists who would then portray through their art and sculptures the impact of these Marxist historians on 2.5 generations since our independence. What kind of deracination that has taken place in our minds. And I wanted to express this through a camp and then hold that camp after the art. And so therefore I was wanting to know if there are any artists who are right of center. And unfortunately, I mean, the target that I went to, she said, I'm sorry, we don't have any artists who are pro-BJP, which the one way of finding out whether they're pro-nationalistic. So one of the things that has happened in the last few years, few decades, one is of course the pioneering work by Ram Swarup, Sitaram Goel, and then Arun Shari. And in the recent past, in the last decade, we had work from our own friend Sandeep, people like Rajiv Malhotra. A lot of work that has gone in by these individuals who have sort of pioneered and created this awareness of what exactly is happening just against our, how we become deracinated. So this whole concept of what is known as intellectual Kshatriya is being brought out first by David Frawley in the 90s and recently by Rajiv Malhotra in his talks about how we should all become intellectual Kshatriyas. Now, the last 2.5 generations mostly has chosen to go into engineering and medicine and lawyers and chartered accountants, and so therefore a predominant set has gone into the media and academia, which is left of center. So now this set of people who are into the sort of the economic side are now realizing that they have become deracinated, and they're realizing that they want to connect back to their civilization, to their ancient civilization, and build that bridge. This is a problem that has been agitating. While the awareness has been created by people like Sandeep and Rajiv and Arun Shari that we need to do this, what is the way forward and how do we actually achieve this? What's the day after? I mean, it's nice, you go out of this, you hear this nice passionate talk and say, okay, I want to be an intellectual Kshatriya. But how do we do it? How do we actually become an intellectual Kshatriya? What's the process? And how do we create this infrastructure for becoming an intellectual Kshatriya? This has been my problem of the day after a passionate speech. So recently I had this opportunity to found Indic Academy, which is basically focused on creating 1,000 academic scholars and 1,000 public intellectuals who are connected to their civilization. This is the goal I have set myself in this Indic Academy in the next 5 years. So the way I'm trying to go about this is fourfold. First and foremost, in a place called Kenali, I had this opportunity to come across an open system of university where a small house for the last 40 years, 20 years, has been able to generate 40 scholars who are rooted in, who are studying traditional shastras. The way he does it is that there are these scholars across the country who teach in their own residences, and the Gurukul system is followed. But they come once every 6 months and write an exam. At the end of 5 years, they write the major exam, and that's how they pass out. And they are actually absorbed and join universities like Rashtriya Sanskrit Samsthan in Tirupati. And all over India, we have these traditional universities. So they actually, this system is a very flexible system, wherein every month he pays a stipend to the student and the teacher, and at the end of 5 years, when the student graduates, he gets this check and then he can start his career. These are traditional scholars. We also need scholars who, right now, there's a demand, as you might have seen, there's a demand in China, there's a demand in Japan. In Japanese universities, they want to study Buddhism and they don't know how to do it because they don't have Sanskrit teachers. Germany, there's a demand. So actually, the demand for Sanskrit teachers globally is very, very immense. And people, I mean, this is like the next soft outsourcing of people to various countries that can happen. But we don't have a system for training them. We have different offshoots happening, but we don't have a formal academic system wherein you do a BA in a St. Stephen's kind of an environment and then study Sanskrit and then study. So that is one challenge. There are initiatives that are happening where people like Chinmaya, they're starting Sanskrit universities and Indic universities. So the other thing would be to encourage people to do those courses so that they can find employment globally, and it's a revenue, it's a paying job. It's not something that's the ultimate thing is whether can I sustain myself. That's basically one of the things that's why people want to become an engineer or whatever. Insofar as the public intellectuals are concerned, I've recently created this thing called Indic Book Club, which is basically some of the authors who write for India Facts and some of the authors who write for Swarajya, people who are interested, selected about 105 people, and the idea is that they should read 5 kinds of books. One, books which are relating to our ancient civilization, which are the positive aspects of various things like Ayurveda, Vedanta, whatever be the thing about our Indic civilization. The second aspect is the criticism of that people have against us. You know, we constantly talk about the subalterns and all these aspects. The academia, the Wendy Donigers of the world. We should read them. We should read them. The third category is people who have rebutted them. People like Arun Shauri, people like Sitaram Goel, people like Rajiv Malhotra. All these people have rebutted this discourse. People like Vamsi Juluri, Sandeep. Then the fourth category is to understand the other theologies and understanding how those things function. And the fifth is this narrative of left and right and center and all these narratives, how they've evolved globally. I saw a tweet from Nitin Pai who said that we have lost 350 years of political ideology, and we've just straight away jumped into 1947 with our constitution. So we don't know, we really don't understand from the John Locke of the world, the Rawls, how those things have developed. So that's the fifth category. The idea is to send all of these club members 50 books across this spectrum, and over a period they also share it with 10 more of their friends. So you have 110, so you make 1,000, and that's the idea. So far we have sent about 11 books. The response has been phenomenal. People, there's a mailing group, some of you might be members, people are already reading and talking about it. This is the second aspect of creativeness. The third is that we've taken using technology and using technology to again reach the scale. So we have subscribed to like a JSP org, which we want to provide access to all the people who write for these magazines and these platforms, so that the articles that we write are far more research. So basically you have access to better. Similarly, we have online technology platforms like Canvas and Zoom. So therefore we are creating a ecosystem of the authors interacting with the readers through a course. So like Vamshi Tuluri is going to start a course on rearming Hinduism, online course. So he has the book, he has the material, so it will be a working kind of a thing. So you have this kind of engagement with the authors and the readers. We have monthly webinars, we have already done 4 webinars. So basically the idea is that there is an engagement between people who are doing the research and the people who are passionate, and then make those people who are passionate also be more well-informed and well-read. I have a son who is 19 years old. He took a gap year and now he's in the sophomore year. And during the gap year, I wanted him to get away from the fact that Aurangzeb was the greatest emperor, and just wanted him to connect to the Indic civilization. And I was looking for a way in which I can package everything you wanted to know about India and didn't know where to go into a 3-month course. So I found that I couldn't get that anywhere. So I am in touch with Michel Dadino, who is actually is going to give this kind of a course to CBSE to see how we can at least we are not in a position to change the syllabus right now. The government is not interested. The government doesn't want to touch that hornet's nest. We are not interested. We can't do it. So we have our children who are going to study 12 years of this kind of history written by Romila Thapar. But then we have an opportunity before they go off to their careers to have that period in between to reconnect back, to build a bridge back to their civilization by giving them 3-month exposure into all the things, whether it be astronomy, Vedic mathematics, every aspect of our Indic civilization can be given to the 12th, post-12th people. So these are the 4 activities. Now, right now, a lot of people complain that this government is not doing enough for whatever. But I don't know. I feel like I'm the squirrel. Trying to build that bridge, trying to do that little effort, trying to make that happen. If the government comes and put the 3 stripes, fair enough. Otherwise, we have to bash on the gardens. Thank you.